That'll be step one with getting involved in pathways. Without that, we're not going to get very far. Now, it's not necessarily the end of the world if this were to happen, but once you eventually do the project, then it's going to all align, all the stars will align, and everything will be all good. Is this no?
Wiley Jr. He's been our proud Toastmaster since 2013. He served as a Pathways guide for District 32 during the launching in 2018. Do you have a question, he asked, on how to use Pathways? If so, this is the presentation for you. Toastmasters International has made numerous improvements to Pathways, listening to member feedback. You can now view all of your projects in your path. Clicking on Go to Basecamp now takes you directly to your educational transcript, reducing the clicks needed to access your projects. For those of you who know how crazy it used to be, that's same song. The new path titled Engaging Humor was launched with more paths coming soon. Today, Marvin will illustrate how to work through pathways so you can get the most out of your Toastmasters. Let's welcome Marvin Wiley Jr. with Navigating Through Pathways.
Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster and fellow Toastmaster and club officers. And starting off, has anybody ever logged in to the Toastmasters website? That would be step one with getting involved in pathways. Without that, we're not going to get very far through pathways because that's how it works. The hardest part of anything, really, is to get started. Getting started with anything, like when I first started playing golf, it was really, really challenging. I was just topping the ball over the place, and I was seeing everybody else that was so much more proficient than I was at playing golf. But once you get started, once you get into the process of doing it, you start to figure things out, and then it always gets a little bit easier each time that you move on through the journey. Now, getting started, of course, you'll need to log in to Toastmasters.org. And if you haven't logged in, what you will do is you will click on the Forgot Your Password button. You'll then be able to put in your email that you put in your application when you first signed in for Pathways. I mean, not for Pathways, but for Toastmasters. And then you'll be able to create a brand new password with that process. One interesting way to log into Basecamp that I learned from Gene, actually, is at a past training, is you can actually click on your name up on the top, and that will take you directly to this screen here. And this screen is pretty awesome because what you can see on the left-hand side, you can go directly to Basecamp. I'm a member of one club right now. You'll see that there's no drop-down menu. But if you're in multiple clubs, you can click the drop-down menu, and then you'll go to any other club. From there, you can also, of course, choose a path, and you can access the navigator, which I'm not going to go into detail about what the navigator is, but it's essentially a great training and starting manual for Toastmasters. So it has all the information about officers and all that. So it's a good document to explore when you have some time. And my favorite part is this part right here, where you can go directly to your transcripts. It just reduces the amount of clicks that you'll need to get access to your transcripts. So I like to go that, you click on your name, you can click go to my transcript, and you can access your path from there. Now, when instructing new members joining Pathways, you can take the Basecamp method, which is the free method, or you can take the printed materials path, which it's $25 for the printed materials, which also includes the shipping cost. There's no additional shipping. But there are 5 paths, and it's in the frequently asked questions. You can go to Toastmasters, you can look at the Pathways frequently asked questions, and there are 5 particular paths that are available within the printed materials. So that's one thing to keep in mind when looking at that option. And you can also take the online assessment. This is actually a skippable step. You don't have to take it. But if you do take it, it'll walk you through some suggestions on how you can go about choosing a path. It's really quick. It only takes a couple of minutes or so, depending on how in-depth that you would like to go into it. And then it will spit out 3 options that it will recommend. If you wanted to go into a little bit more detail about the other paths, you can click on the additional. It'll pop up all the descriptions for all the other paths that are available. And then that's how a new member or any member can choose their first or an additional path. And then once you get your path, you'll be able to open up your path and work through it. Now, there are different icons that you'll typically see. The stack of books is going to be your path. The screen is oftentimes a training icon. And then this icon here, which looks like a material document type icon, is typically the icon that you'll see when you can submit your level. You'll see that on the bottom of all of your paths and any other material type documents. Now, this is your transcript. So when we're back here, so once you click on your name, go to my transcript, it will take you directly to this page where you'll have all the lists of all the paths that you are currently enrolled in. Now, one thing to keep in mind is that it's kind of intuitive to want to click on either this, or you click on that icon. You're like, I want to open up my path, so I'm going to click on visionary communication. But you'll actually click over here on the right-hand side where you can open up the curriculum. You can either click on the arrow, which will have a little drop-down option, and then you can click on open curriculum there, or I typically just like to just click on the words on open curriculum, and then that'll open up the path. On the top bar, you'll see some options there. You'll see home, you'll see tutorials and resources, you'll see check compatibility, and the importance of check compatibility is just to make sure it's working with your browser. So you can click that and make sure everything's working correctly. You also want to make sure that your pop-up blocker is also turned off so that you'll be able to open up all the tabs that's necessary to work through your path. You also notice that when hovering over the tabs, you won't click on them individually. If you try clicking, you'll be clicking for days, and then nothing's going to happen. What will happen is you'll hover over it, there'll be a little tiny mini drop-down menu, and then you'll click on that icon there to go on those tabs. So I'm talking about the home, tutorials and resources, and check compatibility. For home in particular, one thing I like to do, instead of clicking on home, I just like to click on the Toastmasters Pathways logo. It goes to the home page too. And then you'll see the 5 particular icons, such as, I can't remember all of them off the top of my head, but you know the home page of Basecamp. It'll take you directly to that home page of Basecamp. Now, when opening up your curriculum, you'll be able to launch your project. On the left-hand side, you're going to see all the levels. Whichever one is highlighted is the level that you're currently looking at. And you'll see the level indicated on the very top. Here you see level 1, and you see the icebreaker. To launch the project, similar to the paths, you don't click on the words icebreaker. You also don't click on this little training icon. You would actually click on the left-hand side where it says activate, or you can click on the little drop-down menu thing, and then you'll be able to click activate there. I just like to click on the words activate, and it'll go directly to, or the button will just change to launch, and then you can launch your project right from there. Now, here's the icebreaker project, and you can see right here, there's a drop-down menu, which has a lot of great navigating options, where you can navigate all throughout your project, such as going to your assessment skills before and after, which are, of course, key components to being able to mark your project complete. And in that drop-down menu, you'll notice that one of the options is your evaluation. This is a very useful particular page because it's going to have all of the resources within each project, and it's going to be unique to each project. You're going to have your evaluation resource. You're going to be able to print or view your entire project. And you're going to have any other related documents that is connected to that project is going to be on this page. Now, it's not necessarily the end of the world if this were to happen, if you completed the assess your skills after. All that's going to happen is it's going to be marked complete. You wouldn't have done the project yet, but once you eventually do the project, then it's going to all align, all the stars will align, and everything will be all good. There's just no way that you can undo completing the assess your skills after assessment. But we'll talk a little bit about the assess your skills assessments in a bit here. Now, to go through the assessment, you'll see on this drop-down menu, you'll see the assess your skills before, which of course is ideal to do that before you do your project, for it to have the most effect. But if you do end up forgetting it, you can do the assess your skills before and after at the same time, if that's necessary. Now, when completing the assessment, you'll see there's options from 1 to 5. You'll score yourself through looking at this assessment. Once you click each particular circle, you'll click on the next button. So you'll click next to go on through. If you click on the arrow, this is actually going to take you to the next page. So then you just have to click the arrow again to go back to finish up the assessment. So you'll click on your option. For example, you can click 5, you'll click next, and then you can click the number, next, and then once you go all the way through the assessment to the very last question, there's going to be an option to click the submit button. The only way that Basecamp is going to know what the options are that you have submitted is if you click the submit button. If you exit out, that assessment's not going to be completed, and your project is not going to be marked complete, and you're going to be wondering, what in the world do I do? Yeah, so you'll click on the submit button, and then that will put the check mark next to your project. And at this point, are there any questions or anything that has popped up in your mind? Or yeah?
I have a question. Back a couple of pages, you showed that whole long list of things. It was all of the things to do in the project. How did you get there?
The
Drop-down menu? Okay.
He's talking about the transcript. I think he's talking about the transcript. Floyd, are you talking about the transcript so you can see all the different projects?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The transcript or?
It was back
That
one.
Oh, this
How did
page?
you get to that?
Oh yeah, that's the drop-down menu.
Is that the bottom one?
Yeah.
Yeah, you see that arrow that's right down below there? That's going to pop open this drop-down menu, and it's going to change varying based on the project that you're on. So some of
I think the confusion is that it's above. You say drop down.
Oh,
It's a drop, yeah.
okay, it's a drop up. All right.
Fit your screen.
Yeah. So
Hit that arrow down,
Yep.
but it's going to fit on your screen.
okay, yeah. I guess there's no. Yeah.
Can I share another comment?
Yeah.
So whether you work on Windows or on Mac, you notice the little box up there at the top to make the window big? When you open up your curriculum and you're looking at this, on some people's systems by default, it makes it big. By some people's systems by default, it just makes it, part of the screen, a portion of the screen. If you only have it set to be a portion of the screen, you may not see these navigator arrows or this drop down. I was talking with somebody who's like, Pathways doesn't work, I can't do anything, I get the screen, I can't go anywhere. And I clicked on that little box to make it full screen, and the arrow showed up and this drop down showed up. So if you're not seeing those, make it full screen, it'll be there.
Is that still the case? 'Cause I knew that was the case when I always use Chrome myself, and just recently I noticed that it opens up in a new tab
Right,
for
and
myself.
if it opens up in a tab,
Yeah.
then it should be full screen.
Yeah.
But if it opens, it used to open up as a separate window.
Yeah, it did.
And it would be a part of the screen,
Yeah.
and you wouldn't see that.
Yeah. Interesting. Maybe different browsers are different. I'm not sure. We'll find out when we explore a little bit further on, and we'll see if it works in, I can't remember what browser it's, the browser there. And let's go back here. Now when you complete the before and after your speech assessment, You'll notice that there will be a check mark next to each project that both of those assessments have been completed. When there are check marks next to every project within your level, you'll see that there'll be the option to complete your level and to submit your level completion. Let's see. So this will come up here on the bottom. You'll be able to click on the Activate button, which will then create a Mark Complete button. What's going to happen is, remember on the other page where you can log into Basecamp, you can choose your club. The club that you're logged in as, at that time that you click that Mark Complete button, it's going to be sent to the email that's on file on Club Central for the Basecamp manager that you're logged in as on Basecamp, if that makes sense. And Lori is going to explain a little bit more about that in detail, but the main thing that, as a member, to keep in mind is to know which club that you're logged in as, because that's generally the club that request is going to be sent to. So if you click that Mark Complete button, but you're expecting it, yeah.
And that's the club that's going to get credit for that level of completion, whatever club you're on.
Well, once they go on to Club Central and report it then, but the other clubs aren't going to know that you have that. They're not going to have that notification. So if you're expecting another club to know that you completed the level, then they're not going to have that notification unless you let them know that you completed it, because a different club has got that notification. That's something important to keep in mind when completing your levels. And then that will be the process of working through the path. You just continue doing that level after level, and then just like Lizette and as well as several other members, you'll be able to complete your path throughout that process. And are there any other questions? And then I'll put my mouse over here. Any other questions? No questions. Everybody's an expert in pathways. Nice.